part of Women's Health on the Go. Welcome to our Monday night show. Tonight we are going to be talking about peri-menopause. We're going to be talking about that transition time between your reproductive years and menopause years and what happens in between those years, because a lot of us, we're experiencing symptoms, we're going through changes in our body. What are we going to do and how are we going to take care of that? That's what our topic is tonight. My name is Lori Faulkner. I'm part of Women's Health on the Go, where I consult with women on how to take care of their bodies holistically, naturally, talk about even conventional options with them. And I love educating everybody by doing this show every Monday night. So welcome everybody. Welcome. If you are an oldie but goodie, welcome. You know that I love engagement. Please say hello. Please tell me how you're doing. If you have questions throughout the show, please put them in the comments. I might not get them to right away, but I will answer your questions at certain times. Even if you're watching the replay, put your comments down below. Put your questions. I will see them and I will I will answer your questions for you. So if you're oldie, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. And please share this video. Please share it with as much people as you can. If you want to share it on your time, or if you know someone particularly, make sure you put like a little @ to them so that they can see this video, so that they can learn about perimenopause. Okay, everybody? So who is ready to talk about that transition between your reproductive to menopause? Let's get started, okay? All right, so what are we going to cover tonight? We're going to talk about what is perimenopause. We're going to talk about the symptoms. We're going to talk about how do we diagnose it. We're going to talk about conventional options of if you wanted to go that route. And then, of course, you know me, I love my holistic and natural ways, and we're going to go into those approaches as well. But before we get started, if you watch my show, you know that I have to say my medical disclaimer. So just remember, all material provided in this video is provided for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to substitute the advice of your healthcare professional. It's not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any kind of disease. And when I talk about essential oils, it's very important that none of these statements have been evaluated by the FDA. And again, remember, they're not meant to treat, diagnose, or cure anything. If you are pregnant or you're breastfeeding, please consult your healthcare provider before you use essential oils. And also, the International Federation of Aromatherapists does not recommend the internal use of essential oils unless you are under the guidance of a healthcare provider or a certified aromatherapist. Okay? Hello, Nancy. How are you? Welcome to tonight's show. We are going to be talking about perimenopause, those transition years. So, what are we going to? Let's see. I'm going to put the title on the bottom here so that everybody who's coming on knows what we're talking about. So, what is perimenopause? Perimenopause is that transition time, okay? You have your reproductive time, and this is the time when you can have babies when you want to. Your ovaries are producing eggs every month. You're fertile and everything's going good. And then between that time and menopause. What is menopause? Menopause is when you have not had a period for a total of 12 months, for 1 year, okay? So even in that perimenopausal phase, you can be like, oh my God, I'm in menopause, I haven't had my period for 6 months, and bam, you get your period. You are not in menopause, you are in that perimenopausal phase. Now, how long can this last? I don't know. Every one of us is different. You can only hope and pray that you just wake up one day and you no longer have your period and you have no symptoms at all. That would be nice. But unfortunately, a lot of us, as we're going through that transition and our hormones are going in different kind of directions, that can last a couple months. It can last 4 months. It can last up to 10 years. Yes, ladies, it can last up to 10 years. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Okay? Unfortunately, but we're going to be talking about how we can get through those years the best way that we can. So hopefully we're not having all these kind of yucky symptoms. I was talking to everybody in the beginning, in the pre-show, and if you're just joining us, you probably didn't see, but I would say for me, it's ironic that I've got this show going on right now because I schedule these shows way in advance, and I would say probably in the last week, maybe 2 weeks, I started getting night sweats. So it's the way that it happens, and it's the only symptom that I have at this point. So everybody goes through this differently, okay? So what are the symptoms of perimenopause? Now, if you think about women who are going through menopause and the typical kind of symptoms that they have, hot flashes, and trouble sleeping at night, mood swings, vaginal dryness, decreased sex drive, breast tenderness. Sometimes people are losing their urine a little bit. They're tired. Their memory is not as great anymore. Some women lose a little bit of hair. There's so many symptoms that women can have when they go into menopause. Well, that's basically the symptoms of perimenopause. But the way that we experience them are a little bit different. Like I said to you just a couple minutes ago, I started getting night sweats, but that's the only symptom that I have. I still get my period every month, and everything else is going good. So sometimes people will come to me and be like, all right, so I'm getting my period every month, but I'm really tired and my sex drive is going down. What the heck is going on with me? We can have even just one of those, all of those symptoms in that time frame. We're all different. We're all made differently. Thank goodness we're all made differently. But everyone kind of experiences it differently. And unfortunately, I can't say to you, okay, listen, this is how it's going to happen. Bam, 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 bam. It doesn't work that way. Every one of us goes through it differently. And then we can also have some irregular periods. Like I said a little bit before, it could literally be like, oh my God, here it comes. It's come. I haven't had my period in 6 months. And bam, you start getting your period back. Okay. So, or your periods can start getting sometimes a little bit heavier, or sometimes they can start getting lighter. We all go through things differently. The thing that I would say is that if you're definitely having irregular periods, that there can be other causes besides this perimenopausal phase that can cause you to actually have irregular periods, such as ovarian cysts, fibroids. If you're taking a certain kind of birth control, any birth control can actually cause you to have irregular periods. We can have a thyroid issue, especially us women as we get younger. We're at a little bit of a higher risk of having a thyroid problem. And I think I said, and of course, pregnancy, if you don't have your period for a couple months, even in that perimenopausal phase, you can get pregnant. So that can be that as well. So if you are having irregular periods, I would definitely highly recommend that you go to your healthcare provider and just kind of rule out all the other stuff. Because when we are as a healthcare provider, if someone comes to me with these kind of symptoms and they say well, what's going on, and are there tests that you can do to figure out, am I in menopause? Am I in that? How are my hormones doing? Are they starting to go towards menopause? Typically what I tell people is this. I can just go by your age and the symptoms that you're having and say that you're in the perimenopausal phase, that your hormones and everything is starting to transition. The important thing that we need to do is we have to make sure that there's no other medical issue that's going on, such as fibroids, such as an ovarian cyst, such as a thyroid problem, such as pregnancy, okay? So we want to rule out those kind of medical issues that can be happening. And then at the end of the day, then you're having all of these kind of symptoms and everything else is fine, then you're going through the transition, okay? Because when we talk about we talk about hormones, and a lot of people want to know, what their estrogen is, what their progesterone is, what their FSH and LH, they want to go all into this. The thing when we do hormone level testing is that's telling me at that given moment and that given time. When I get results, they even show if you're in different phases of your cycle, what the levels should do, and they're kind of like, these broad ranges and everything. And if you're going to be getting these hormone tests, you actually have to kind of do them frequently, or at various different times to kind of gauge exactly what's going on. So I typically don't necessarily, go all the gamut out and, get all these kind of hormones. What I do is I make sure that there's no other medical issue that's going on. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a fibroid, typically we're not going to really, it's a very benign kind of condition. We just try to manage the period and stuff. If there's an ovarian cyst, typically that can, usually resolves itself. Sometimes we want to make sure, sometimes people can have ovarian, what we call, instead of that menopause, they have premature ovarian failure where their ovaries just, that's it. They just stop working a little bit earlier. But the thing with that is sometimes they can kind of come back to life, as we'll talk about it. So it's really just making sure that there's no medical problem out there, and that if everything else medically is kind of okay, then I can just say, yeah, you're in that phase, you're in that time, because you're at that age, you're experiencing it, and everything else is fine. Hopefully that's making sense to everybody. Again, make sure that you let me know if you have any questions. Please make sure that you comment below. If anything isn't making sense, please let me know, because if I'm not making sense, there's no sense of me keep going on, because I want to make sure that you understand everything. So please let me know if you have any questions, or if I'm not making sense to you. Okay, can you get pregnant during this time? Even if you're having irregular periods, yes, you can. I would not, going through this phase and you not getting your period all the time regularly, I would not count on that as being a form of birth control. If you are sexually active, if you are concerned about becoming pregnant, then I would definitely 100% either use condoms or go to your medical provider to get some form of birth control, okay? Do women get pregnant? Now, most of these times, these symptoms are going to be happening in their 40s, right? Do women get pregnant in their 40s? Yes, they do. It's a little bit harder for people in that age range to get pregnant, but I can tell you, I know a couple of people who, they got married later in life, and, they didn't think they were going to get pregnant, so they're just having unprotected sex. They're just having a good time, and then they're like, I'm 43 and I'm pregnant. Okay, well, there you go. It can happen, okay? So if you are concerned with pregnancy, make sure that you go to your healthcare provider, please. Okay, so hopefully that whole concept of perimenopause and the kind of symptoms and what's going on makes sense to you. Now, when it comes to conventional options, it's really kind of simple. It's nothing really exciting. It's basically putting you on some type of birth control to kind of regulate those hormones, whether it be birth control pills, or you can get like a birth control, like you get a patch, you can get a vaginal ring. So typically most medical people will actually put you on birth control, because at the end of the day, it's the same as hormone, it's just different kind of dosaging. Like when it comes to hormone replacement therapy and birth control, they're estrogen and progesterone. There's just a little bit kind of difference to them. But a lot of people, if you still are getting your period and are regular, a lot of the time, healthcare providers will just put you on some kind of birth control. If you want to go that route, it might not. And if you're having some there's other kind of medications that sometimes that they can put you on. Like women who are having hot flashes, sometimes they put them actually on an antidepressant medication, and sometimes that helps with that as well. But other than that, there's not much of treatment options out there. But what we can do is we can take care of our bodies naturally and holistically in so many ways. And that's what I really, really want to talk to you about, because most people know that this is my passion. I love holistic and natural approaches. So what we want to do, our goal when we do hello, when we are trying to do taking care of ourselves holistically and naturally, there's kind of three things that I like to do. Is one, we want to first just start off with overall health, okay? And taking care of yourself overall, and we're just going to go over those couple of things, is going to be good for you no matter what, right? These are just basic. Now, if you've seen some of my shows with my guest, Millie, we talk about the pillars of health, of life. And those are the things that we should really just put into our regime of daily living because we just want to get overall health. We want to also address those symptoms, right? So if you were having night sweats, right? I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, but I'm just going to say, like, I'm having night sweats at night. So what do? I am taking a herb. It's called chasteberry, or some people know as Vitex, and I do the tincture before I go to bed at night, and it helps. Now, if I forget it, that's where I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with that? And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm actually going to make myself an essential oil spritzer so that if I get up, I could just kind of cool myself down a little bit for those things. So we want to address those kind of symptoms. And then there's prevention, okay? So when we go through menopause, there are things that we are at a higher risk for, right? We don't have that estrogen anymore, so we want to build up our bones because we don't want to develop what we call osteoporosis, which is weakening of the bone. The easiest way that I try to describe osteoporosis to people is if you go to a forest and during the summer, there's all these leaves on the trees and you can't see through that forest very easily. So that means your bones they're really thick and they've got a lot of stuff in there and they're really nice and strong, okay? In the winter, when all the leaves fall down, I can see through that forest very easily. And that's what happens in osteoporosis. That bone is more like this. It's not, you can easily see through it, and it's more what we call friable and more likely to break. So we want to prevent, because estrogen really helps our bones, we need to, and during menopause, we lose estrogen. We want to make sure that we kind of build up those bones to be nice and strong. So we want to do prevention for like osteoporosis, breast cancer. We're at a higher risk of breast cancer as we get older, and cardiovascular disease, heart disease. So we want to attack it by overall health, addressing those symptoms, and then also just doing things for some prevention. Okay. So when we talk about overall health, one of the first things that I always talk about in all of my shows is nutrition. What are we doing and how is our diet? Okay. Now, we want to definitely eat a lot of plant-based. We want to eat lots of fruits and vegetables in our diet. I can't seem to talk today. We want to decrease red meat. Red meat is inflammation on our body. Dairy products are very inflammatory. With any kind of thing in our bodies, we want to at least decrease as much inflammation as we can in the body. We want to also drink lots of water. We want green tea or herbal teas. We want to stay away from sodas and fruit juices. We want to freshwater fish is very, very good. It's very anti-inflammatory. Tuna, salmon, and making sure that if we get tuna or salmon, that we're not they're fresh caught, they're wild. I couldn't think of the word. I can't even talk tonight. This is so crazy. You want to make sure you don't want to do farm raised. You always want to make sure that they're wild caught. Okay. You want to eat like kind of foods that have what we call phytoestrogens in them, which are like estrogens that are just naturally, in our foods. Beans, red lentils, kidney beans are some, for examples. Green leafy vegetables, broccoli, kale, collard greens. Those are other great foods that you want to add into your diet. So nutrition is the basis. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. It's Hippocrates, great doctor from a long time ago, and he is so correct. Nutrition is so, so important, and we need to just start off with that, okay? Exercise, okay? Now, I call it exercise. If you see my friend Millie on our show, she loves to call it movement, which I actually like a little bit better. But exercise is really important in all aspects of life. But how is it important when it comes to this perimenopausal phase? Well, one, it's going to help keep those bones strong. We always talk about, when we're talking about osteoporosis prevention, is weight-bearing exercises, which can be any kind of like lifting weights, walking, jogging, all that kind of stuff. So you exercise. If you exercise more, it's going to help keep your bones nice and strong. Another thing is when we're going through this change in life, right, for some of us, it's a huge transition. And if we're having all of these kind of, then if you're on top of it, you can't sleep at night, you're really tired because of it. Now you're getting even hot flashes during the day, or your sex drive is just going down, down the tubes, your vaginal dryness and everything that's going on. Sometimes this can affect our emotions, and sometimes women can develop some depression from that. And an exercise is really, really great for people going through depression, getting out there, moving, and getting the body moving. It's really, really important part of that. And lots of research is showing that exercise really helps people when they're going through just depression, anxiety, and stuff. So you want to do it for that. You also want to do it for if you're moving and you're getting the juices flowing in the body, and especially if you're getting it in that pelvic region. There are people when we're having decreased sex drive, or you even have vaginal dryness, you want to keep the blood flowing in that pelvic region, right? So if you're outside and you're exercising and you move that, you're going to just keep the juices flowing and keep the blood flow into that area and keeping it nice and healthy. So that's another reason. And there's actually some research that shows that women who exercise are less likely to get hot flashes. So if you don't want hot flashes, and let me tell you something, now, I got to probably exercise some more. It is a very weird sensation. I can just tell you that. It just feels like there's a ball of fire inside of you, and your body is like, whoa. You just don't know what to do with yourself. So try to avoid them. If you can, get out there and exercise. So exercise. So we got nutrition, exercise. What are we going to talk about next? Sleep. Now, I know that some women, when they're going through this transition, have trouble sleeping. But this is a kind of important part, the pillars of life, getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, okay? So when we're talking about trying to get sleep, I have a show on insomnia. I got to find that one because it talks about a lot of great things that we can do, just even in general, to help us with sleeping. And that it's even breaking it down to, creating a bedroom that is just warm and inviting, and your bed, you just want to crawl in it and get under the covers because it's so comfy in there. No TV, no reading electronics or your laptop or anything in your bedroom, because research shows that light from that TV, it just affects your sleep. People who actually fall asleep with the TV on are not really getting good, healthy sleep. Remember, the bedroom is for two things, for sleeping and for sex, and nothing else. So you want to keep all that stuff out there. And then you can use some essential oils to help, whether you make a linen spray for your bed, or you make some kind of mixture and you put it behind your ears, or on your wrist or on your chest, just to help you just inhale those beautiful, relaxing essential oils such as lavender, ylang ylang, clary sage, chamomile. Those are really great essential oils to help calm your nerves, calm the mind, so that you can go to sleep. A lot of times we can't go to sleep too because of the fact that our minds are racing all over the place. So you can actually, I used to count, and then someone had said counting in threes, which I find is even better because your brain, going 1, 2, 3, 4, it's almost just kind of, you just go through it. But when you're counting in threes, you actually have to think okay, 3, 6, 9. And then when you get higher, then you really got to start counting. So that's another thing. To help you sleep too, you can get teas. They have sleepy time teas. Some great herbs for helping you sleep is lavender, chamomile, lemon balm. I brought this in the room because I make a tincture. I have a tincture that I use that has chamomile, lavender, and lemon balm. And sometimes I'd rather just drink the tea because it sounds really good. But I wanted to I'm almost running out, and I put it all in the jar. But I just wanted to show you how just beautiful, right? Hopefully you can see that okay. Because I have my chamomile. These are chamomile flowers. And if you can kind of see, you got the lavender, the purple, little lavender flowers, and then the lemon balms on the bottom. I just think it's just so pretty of that. So I kind of brought it in here before I put my vodka in there to get that tincture going. But that is another beautiful tincture, and it's very, very relaxing. So that's sleep. Sleep is really important, and I know that sometimes when we're going through that transition time, it can be difficult, but if we can then tackle those symptoms, remember what I was saying before, we got overall health, attacking those symptoms, and then some prevention. So when it comes to that sleep, we're going to tackle those symptoms by doing maybe some essential oil blends, maybe some teas, maybe getting our bedroom all cozy and warm and loving and just want to just jump into that bed, get underneath those covers and go to sleep. And sometimes those things can help. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to kind of talk about is herbal infusions, okay? Now, I'm going to actually, I'm going to put a link in. If you've seen any of my shows, then you will know that I have talked about them before. And I have a video on how to make herbal infusions, which I will put in the comments for everybody. But what is great about these herbal infusions is not only can they help with some of the symptoms that you're having, but they're great for prevention. And we're going to talk about what each one of these do. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really quick copy. This is when you're working a one-woman show here, one-woman show. All right, so I'm just putting that link in there. That is a link for my actual herbal infusion, how to do herbal infusion things. But there's 3 of them. There's lots of different herbal infusions, but 3 great ones the first one is red clover. I love red clover. Okay, so first I'm going to show you, I think this is the one. Now, red clover, we all know what red clover is. Most people think it's a weed, but it's not. It's a wonderful, wonderful herb. So I think that this is the one. I'm going to show you a picture here of it. Yes, there it is. It is perfect. So I know that all of you have seen this in your yard, okay? This is red clover. It is a beautiful, beautiful herb. It has a lot of natural estrogen effects on our body. It's great to do when you're going through menopausal changes. It has bone building properties, so we're gonna help build up our bones by doing it. It also has some research regarding to preventing breast cancer changes. Okay, it is actually an ingredient. There is a tea called, I know I'm gonna mutilate the name of it. Essaic tea. Essaic tea. That was a tea that was actually created by a Canadian nurse that worked with Native Americans, and she got this recipe from them, and she's actually helped women with cancer by them drinking this tea. And this is one of the main ingredients in it is red clover. So it's great. It's very mild tasting. You don't even need to put a little sweetener in it. And again, I put that video there on how to make herbal infusions. It's literally taking a quart of water with an ounce of herb and brewing it for like 8 hours. That's it in a nutshell, but you can watch the video on how to do that. So red clover, please, yum, 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 yum. It's very, very good, and it's very, very healthy, especially when we're going through this menopausal change, okay? All right, the next one, I'm going to show you another picture. This is stinging nettle. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but the reason why if anybody knows about stinging nettle, along the the stem and stuff, there are little kind of hairs that if you hit yourself with it, it's going to sting. It's going to not feel too good. Actually, I think it's the Asians actually use it for like arthritis and stuff like that. They actually take the stinging nettle plant and they whack them against their knee and stuff like that, and the nettles kind of hit and kind of sting and cause a little numbing, and it helps with their symptoms of it. So it's not something that I would necessarily want to go out in the yard and pick because it can be very irritating. But when you actually get the herb, if you buy the herb from the store, then, or I get everything from my Amazon. I'll put some links in there of some herbs. Hold on, let me make a link for herbs. Stinging nettle, you're not going to get any of the effects, but stinging nettle is a great herbal infusion that you should be doing regardless. It's got good minerals, vitamins, it's got phytoestrogens in it, it's a good immune builder, it's going to help build strong bones, it's going to give you a nice healthy heart. I mean, again, here we go, bone building and heart health. We're going to be doing some prevention with this. So stinging nettle herbal infusion is another great one. Another one that I love. See, I love all these. I love drinking this stuff. If you like herbal teas, you'll really, really like it. You can, when you do make them, you could add some sweeter, like maybe a little stevia or a little bit of honey. I tend to not. I just try to kind of, drink them without any, but they all taste very good. Now, oat straw is another one. Oat straw. I don't have a picture of oat straw, but oat straw is very mild. It's straw. Sometimes when I'm drinking it, some people think, they're like, are you drinking a glass of urine? And I'm like, no. It's just a very kind of light, kind of yellow, but it's very, very mild. I absolutely love it. It's a nervine. It helps with relaxation. It decreases inflammation in the body, and it's going to help with your sex drive. Woo-hoo. So that's another one. Now, herbal infusions is something that I would definitely say is, when you do herbal infusions, the way I do it is, I do more than these ones, but I just do different ones each day. I don't necessarily go, I'm going to do red clover every day. I do not do that. I just kind of go, okay, one day I do red clover, the next day I do stinging nettle, the next day I'll do oat straw. Or if I'm having a week where I'm like just really stressed out, then I may do oat straw all that whole week, because that's going to help calm me. If I'm definitely like, right now I'm doing a little bit more red clover, just because, like, as I said, the last week or two, I'm getting a little bit of these, night sweats. So I'm trying to you just got to work with what you're doing. Nothing is like set in stone, like, you got to do the red clover every day. I just change it up throughout the week. Hopefully that makes sense. Am I making sense, everybody? Tell me if I'm making sense. Tell me if you have any questions. Let me know what's going on for you guys so that I know that I'm making sense. And of course, please, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If you, even if you're watching the show after the show, please put whatever comments you want. I will definitely see them. Okay, everybody. So make sure that I love to hear from you guys. So make sure that you do that. Okay. So what we're going to talk about a little bit next, and of course, I did put that medical disclaimer in the beginning, but when I'm talking about herbs and when I'm talking about essential oils, I always say to everybody, make sure that you honor them and respect them just like you do with pharmaceutical drugs. Herbs and essential oils can interact with different medical conditions. It can interact with medications you're taking. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, some things are not going to mix. You're not going to want to be doing that. If you're watching this, you're probably not pregnant, but you could be still breastfeeding. So who knows? Okay. So just make sure that you speak to someone, your healthcare provider. You can always, book a consultation appointment with me to make sure that when you're doing this stuff that it's safe, because they're great. I love herbal medicine. That's what I completely do with myself. I love it, but you gotta make sure that it's okay for you to do these things. Hopefully I'm making sense, everyone. Okay, so overall, we want to, now during this phase, our hormones are going to be changing and stuff. So I think it's good, besides doing those things that we just kind of talked about, is also just trying to get an overall hormonal balance to help doing certain herbs and stuff like that to help regulate our hormones in our body. Now, depending on how you want to do this, some essential oils that are nice for hormone regulations, like geranium is good, clary sage, holly basil. So those are essential oils that you can help. Now, depending on how you want to use them, sometimes it could be like making an essential oil blend and like rubbing them over your lower belly, especially during when you're having your period. I know that I have certain blends for when I have really bad cramps that I put on there, or if you got to be careful because sometimes some essential oils are what we call the increased blood flow. So sometimes when people are having decreased blood flow and they want to kind of increase that, they put, essential oils on their belly. There's just so many ways that you can tackle this in a way. Hopefully I'm making sense there, okay? So those are just like 3 essential oils that could be beneficial for helping you to regulate your hormones. Now, when it comes to herbs, I already kind of mentioned one that I am actually using, and that's chasteberry, or a lot of people might know it as Vitex. Chasteberry it helps regulate hormones. Some people actually use this, like if they're having polycystic ovarian syndrome and they're having irregular periods and they're trying to get pregnant. Sometimes people use this. Some people use, also for fertility, they use maca root. But chasteberry is it's a good one to use to help regulate your hormones during this time. Personally, I use this one myself. And I do tincture form of it. I do like a dropper full before I go to bed. But you can also do if you're going to get a tablet, it's like 200 milligrams of it a day. You can do it 1 to 3 times. Again, when it comes to herbal medicine and natural kind of approaches, it's like almost like, okay, let's start at this point. Okay, do we need to change it up? Do we need to move? Do we need to change? It's the same thing, just like with conventional medicine, it's the same thing for holistic. So just make sure that if you're going to go the holistic route, don't give up on it right away. You got to give it a chance. You got to do all of these things to get your body in tune with everything so it's working appropriately. So it's going like this and not like, yeah. Okay, anyway. Another herb is dong quai. This is a traditional Chinese medicine that is commonly used for a lot of women's health issues. It definitely has some phytoestrogen effects in it. It's typically dosages around 500 milligrams a day or 5 to 20 drops of tincture. The thing with dong quai is it is a warming herb, okay? So for some people, it may make your hot flashes, your night sweats worse. Okay, so you do have to be a little bit careful with that. It's not going to happen with everybody, but just so you know that can happen. Okay, so if you decided, I worked with somebody, I started to try doing dong quai, oh my God, my hot flashes are getting worse. You know why? It's a warming herb and it can do that. Another great one is motherwort. This is going to be great for a lot of kind of symptoms. Insomnia, night sweats, anxiety, depression. It's going to strengthen your heart. It's going to help with PMS and menstrual cramps as well. Motherwort is it's another good herb for us women, for all down there, taking care of everything down there, okay? And you can do like a tincture form of that of anywhere from 10 to 30 drops, anywhere from 1 to 4 times a day. Now, this is an herb that I'll bet most of you have heard, and that is black cohosh. Black cohosh is another herb that's really, really good. It kind of mimics the estrogen in the body, and you can do about 500 milligrams of the day. That is definitely something that that's all over the counter everywhere. I think that's probably one of the easiest herbs to find out there if you're going to go to the store. I mean, I am pretty sure that like CVS and Walgreens have it. It's just so common out there. So those are the kind of herbs that I would just use, just kind of getting overall balance, overall kind of health. Okay. And then, we talked a little bit about insomnia and what we can do with insomnia. But then let's talk about a little bit about vaginal dryness, because that can be something that can really happen, and it can interfere with your sex life, and we don't really want that to be happening. So there's a couple of things that I talk to people about it. Sometimes it's just basic, okay? If anybody knows me, they know that I love coconut oil. I think coconut oil is good for a lot of things, and I suggest it to women a lot. Coconut oil has antibacterial and antifungal properties and antiviral properties on top of it. So even if you're having some kind of vaginal infection and you're not really quite sure, like, what is it? Do I have a bacterial infection? Do I have a yeast infection? I really don't want to go to the doctor right now. Well, get yourself some coconut oil suppositories and let's see what happens. And also, it can help with vaginal dryness. Now, typically, I tell people that when it comes to coconut oil, if you work with coconut oil, you know that when it's warm, it's liquid, and when it's cold, it's solid. So, and your vagina's warm. So, if you just took a little and just try to put, it's just going to go on the outer portion and maybe a little bit on the inside, but you want to make sure you get it all inside there. So, typically, I tell people take a piece of saran wrap, take a couple of dollops and put them down, fold over the saran wrap, and kind of mold them to like little suppositories. Put it in the freezer. It will not freeze it. It's just going to make it solid. Okay, so you don't have to, people think about, the Christmas Story is out. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie with the kid. He's got his tongue to the flagpole and it's stuck there because it's got like freezer to it, right? That's not going to happen here. Okay, it's just going to make it solid. So that when you're ready, you take it out, and then you're able to put that suppository inside as comfortable as you can, as far as you can up there, and it'll melt pretty quickly. So typically, if I tell people to do that, do it right before you go to bed. Put a towel underneath you because any extra is going to come out and stain your sheets, and that's a great thing to if you just want to start with the basics, that is a wonderful thing to start with. If you don't want to I don't want to go out and, get this herb and that herb and mix it in there. Definitely a great herb. Some herbs, some oils that you can use. Now, typically, I'm going to talk about, so there's chickweed, there's pomegranate, and there is calendula. Those herbs, if you can infuse oil, like olive oil, almond oil, like all these different kind of oils. Olive oil is probably kind of the best that you can do. But you take the herb and you put it in that oil, and you just, when you do a tincture, you leave it. Okay, so you take, could be another whole show. But basically, the way that we do is you get a carrier oil, you put your herb in there, you put a top on, and you put it in the sun, and you let it brew. You let it ferment, and then you strain it out there, and then that oil has all the medicinal properties of either chickweed, pomegranate, or your calendula. And then you can take that and actually do like a vaginal wash with it. You can take it on your finger and then just kind of swirl it around inside the vagina, trying to get as much as you can all over the walls inside. And that's another thing that you can do to help with vaginal dryness. Remember, we're talking about those herbal infusions? Oat straw. Oat straw is very, very good for this as well, and it will help bring moisture back into the vaginal area, even if you're drinking it. So that's something that you can do internally, okay? So I hope that makes all sense. That was a very kind of basic. I can probably do a show on vaginal dryness and how to create all of these kind of these suppositories and everything like that. That would probably be some kind of good video. I couldn't do it here. I'd probably have to be in my kitchen for that, but definitely a good one. Okay, so let's talk about hot flashes, night sweats, okay, because I'm having them. So Again, when we're talking up above, doing those kind of herbs to help regulate the hormones could be helpful as well. But then also, like I said, sometimes I forget. I go to bed and, sorry, I got an itchy nose. I don't know who I'm going to get in a fight with, but that's what they say, right? So sometimes I forget to actually take the herb before I go to bed. So then I end up having this heat explosion inside of me. What do I do? So the next step I was thinking is, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to make myself an essential oil spritzer. So I'm going to keep the bottle by my bed. And if I get up, I'm just going to spray myself with it and see what happens if that kind of helps. Now, some essential oils that would be good for that is, one is peppermint. Peppermint's very, very, very cooling. But another one is sage. And I didn't have any sage essential oil, so I actually ordered it and I'm waiting for it to come. And as soon as I get it, I'm going to try it. And I'm very excited to do that. But I'm sorry, my nose is just so itchy. But that is something that you can do. The herbs, we kind of talked before. Motherwort is a good one for helping with that. You can do a tea of it. I think we talked about doing tincture of it. That's a really good one. Sage, even now I talked about doing sage essential oil kind of spray, but you can actually get the herb and do an infusion with it, or you can also do like a tea. If you're going to do the infusion, watch my video. I put the link up in the comments down below. So making an infusion of it, the only thing is, like with sage, you would just steep it for about 4 hours. You don't need to do it for like overnight. And then if you have that infusion, you don't necessarily need to drink that infusion. You can actually keep that refrigerated and then just take like 1 to 4 tablespoons in either hot water or cold water every day and see how that would work as well. When you're going to bed at night, try to use cotton sheets, cotton clothing. Try to stay away from anything like nylon or polyester sheets, because that's going to just not absorb, the sweat and stuff if you are actually sweating at night. Sometimes I even heard of my mom actually told me that she used to actually keep a couple of pairs of pajamas next to the bed so that it would be there ready to go. Just take off one, put on the next one, and wait until the next night sweat hot flash came along. So that's another thing. And if you're getting hot flashes during the day, maybe having that spritzer with you, that would be a really good thing. And then also just wearing layers, because especially if it's like in the winter, it's going to be kind of cold. So you want to like warm up, but then have a couple layers so that if you start having those hot flashes, that you're just able to kind of take them off a little bit, and hopefully that will help. So hopefully that all makes sense when it comes to hot flashes. So those are just some ideas for hot flashes. We talked a little bit about insomnia up above. So hopefully this is all kind of making sense to you. Of course, this is just a general information. We've been on almost an hour. I can't believe that always these shows end up being so much longer than I expected. I guess I talk a lot. But again, this is only supposed to give you like an introduction to what would be the best thing to do during these years. So we've talked about overall health, right? So nutrition, exercise, sleep, those are really important. Then we talked about some prevention, doing like the herbal infusions, which are going to help. Even like exercising is going to help with bone, is going to help with cardiac health. Doing some herbal infusions that we talked about red clover, we talked about stinging nettle, we talked about oat straw, and these things have some, depending on which one we're talking about, they have bone building, heart health. We want to do that prevention as well. And then what we want to do is we want to tackle those little symptoms that we're having and trying to address those symptoms so that this whole process is a lovely one and not that bad. Because at the end of the day, this is part of our lives. This is what we as women do and we go through, and it's a beautiful process. I think that we as women, I think we're taught like, oh God, menopause is coming. Oh no. No, we should not be doing that. We should be embracing it. We've done years, wonderful years of those reproductive years. Whether you've had children or not, you've gone through those years and you've had your periods every month. Those periods are hard to get through. we do a lot. And so this is the next phase of life, and it is a beautiful phase. And I think that we all need to embrace it and just embrace and know that we're just going on to the next stage of life. It's nothing bad at all, everyone. The perimenopause, I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it. I'm laughing, actually, that I'm getting hot flashes in the middle of the night. I think it's hysterical that this is happening to me, and I'm trying to embrace it. So do the same. Embrace these changes and just make these kind of changes in your life. Do an overall, tackle the symptoms when they come, and then just do that prevention as well, because we want to prevent breast cancer, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis. So hopefully that all made sense, everybody. If you have any questions, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. Even if you're watching the replay, I promise you that I will definitely answer them for you. Next week is Christmas, so I will not be here for that week. I'll be here the following week, though. I will come on New Year's Day evening. But next week, we're going to have a break. I hope that everyone, no matter where you are out there, that you enjoy your holiday season, that it's safe and it's a beautiful one. And thank you, everyone, for watching. I appreciate all your support and love over the past month. It's been a difficult month. As most of you know, my grandmother had passed away, and it's been a little difficult. But thank you so much for everybody, for all of your support and prayers for me and my family. I really, really appreciate it. So, again, this is Lori from Women's Health on the Go. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And make sure that you share this video with your friends. And also, if you want reminders of this show every week to come into your Facebook Messenger, just type in reminder down in the comments below, and I promise you we'll put you in our little tickler system and get you there. So take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Have a happy holiday and a happy new year, and make sure it's safe. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.